Hey guys, so I'm making this type of video because it seems like the algorithm really likes these type of videos of people reflecting on their life and etc. So I'm about 31. I wouldn't say I'm a huge fuck up. I was able to land a career, and even though I'm living with my parents, I think this applies to most people in our generation who's a millennial. We're living with our parents because renting is insanely expensive in the USA, all across, the nation. And buying a home just seems kind of like not plausible, especially if you're in my situation with a lot of student debt and, a lot of overhead fees. So there's a lot of things that happened in my life that I just kind of want to get out there. So it took me about 6 years to get my undergrad. And I was also going for a degree that is kind of like some people might look at it and say, oh, that's a useless degree. But, everything is hindsight when you take a step back and look at the job market and stuff, with even especially with like those like high regarded IT or tech jobs that people were hyping up a few years back, and now like a lot of people aren't even able to get a you know entry level software developer position or whatever. So it took me 6 years to get my undergrad, and I went in for music. I know people are probably hearing this and say, why on earth are you gonna go for music? But at the time, I went into college just because, like everyone else, I was kind of like brainwashed almost with this like dangling carrot, so to say, that a college degree will set you up for life. And me coming from a first generation household, my parents kind of like reinforced this idea like education is going to be your gateway into a better life and etc. So I kind of like went along with a lot of my peers going to college right out of school, and I went in with a undeclared major. So I was just taking general education courses, which in hindsight I probably if I were to give like advice for someone who is 18, just fresh out of high school, I would say maybe just work a little bit, stay at home, and just kind of like if you wanna do college, then do it in the most like efficient, cost effective way, which is like community colleges. Take a couple classes here and there. If you can't stay at home, so you don't have to pay room and board, because what a lot of these universities do is if you're going to be studying there as a freshman, they want you to have room and board, living on campus the first year, and that jacks up your student loans and etc. So that's my advice if you were to go down this route. However, that's not to say that trades and high skill service jobs aren't in high demand right now. So if you're looking to just make money and you're good with your hands, and you take care of yourself and you're disciplined enough to learn these skill sets, maybe look into the trades. But anyways, back to kind of like my upbringing. So I spent 6 years, getting my degree, and well, a good amount of that was just due to like just being, not the most due diligent student as possible. Just messing around in college and going out having fun with my friends and stuff. But now I got out of college, and I'm taking my licensure test to become a music teacher. And unfortunately for me, I missed the mark by a couple points. And given the way these tests are structured, you can't retake them until maybe like half a year into the year. So I'm having to reschedule. I failed again by a couple, maybe I did worse the second time around. So this really demoralized me, and so I kind of went off track just because I had to make some money, because my grace period was basically over for student loans, and I had to start making payments. This being said, I was well over 100K in student debt with federal loans and private loans combined. So I took a break from trying to go for this licensure, and I just picked up whatever job was available on Indeed or whatever. And so I ended up working at, as a chef for Hooters. And then I ended up going to Amazon and then the post office within a span of maybe 3 years, 2 to 3 years at least. And I was working, to the bone, basically 60-hour weeks, 70-hour weeks sometimes, 13 days in a row with like one day off. On I must say that that type of work is very soul crushing. It made me very cynical, and I would fall back on weed on my off time, or I would be drinking on the weekends just to kind of like numb the pain, etc. This kind of carried over for a couple years, like I said, until I was able to kind of lock in and really prepare myself for the licensure exam, because I was just fed up with this kind of mundane work and this slavery type of lifestyle of just waking up, working to live, and not like living to work and not working to live. So yeah, so I was able to break through the cycle, pass the exam, and apply to jobs. And from about like 26 to about like the age I am now, maybe 27, to about like 30, 31, which is my age now, I was able to land some teaching positions, and start my own business with doing music for clients and stuff, performing violin for their events and etc., and also booking other musicians. So I'm in a much better place now than I was in my early 20s. But that's not to say that those lessons I learned working in the post office, factory, distribution center, etc., delivering for Amazon, and also chefing up as a line cook, didn't kind of shape my work ethic and mentality, and just my humbleness, and like what got me there. Um, so after saving up a good amount of money and putting a lot of it towards my private loans, I was able to fully pay off my private loans. Next, I'm working towards my federal loans, which is about 61K, something like that. Um, which I'm not too worried about, because given my payment plan, I am going to be allocating maybe $600 a month towards them, and I should be able to pay them all off within 10 years. So when I'm about 41, while living at home, and while saving a good amount of money for my salary position as a music teacher. And so I guess, like, if I were to give advice to my younger self, I would probably tell myself to not spend so much money on like weed and alcohol. I was able to cut alcohol kind of like early on in my life, but um, definitely like the marijuana is a huge what's it called, drawback in a lot of this stuff. So um, marijuana just kept me sedated and okay with being mediocre for most of my life. Um, and then I've been sober for about a year from smoking, from alcohol. Did I say a year? I meant a month. It's been a little over a month of not smoking, and I must say my lungs feel much better. Um, my wallet is gonna thank me as well, but I kind of really wish I started this sooner, because people like to post about smoking weed. It's not. They say it's not like the worst drug out there. It's like, but it is still something that affects your psyche, and affects many things. Your health with your lungs and stuff. So um, nothing should really go in your lungs. It's meant to be pure. So and again, marijuana just keeps you kind of like okay, like it keeps you chilling, but sometimes you need to tackle these things in your life that need to be dealt with. You can't just like chill even after your shift. Yes, you made your money, but maybe you need to fix something at home, or you need to learn some skills. And if once you start smoking and stuff, then it stops you from really having that drive to get up and go do things. Like I don't really have the um I don't really have that thing that's stopping me from getting up in the morning and just getting something done. But when I was a stoner and I was smoking all the time, I would just like kind of smoke in the morning and just kind of like play video games, and then before I knew it, like 5 hours passed, and I would still be smoking in between that time. So For anyone who's out there watching this video, hopefully what I'm saying other people can relate. If not, then maybe it might have been like food for thought for you to consider, dropping the weed before it's too late. Even if it's someone over the age of 30, um, seeing if you can just turn a new leaf and find some maybe a higher power or something within you, or maybe doing this change for the people around you who are counting on you. I'm pretty sure there were moments in my life when I felt really depressed and suicidal, and I wanted to just just give up, but I didn't because I knew people were counting on me, my family were counting on me, and people I loved, and um, so anyways, guys, this was a little bit of a different video, but maybe you guys might see some see something from this that might help you guys out. It's also good for me to get this off my chest because um, just to get my story out there in case I like pass away tomorrow or something. But anyways, guys, take care. This is Peterhead signing out. Peace.